Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Hello, welcome to episode 64 of the Bottom Up Podcast, where we're celebrating all things 64 this month. We've got 2 games on the Commodore 64 to play and discuss, Monty on the Run and Mayhem in Monsterland, plus we're adding a dollop of Nintendo 64 for good measure, as we also discuss Spacestation Silicon Valley, and a whole lot of other stuff too. Hello, welcome to episode 64 of the Bottom Up Podcast. My name is Ollie, and I'm joined by Tibbs. Hello, Tibbs.
Hello there.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good? Good?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm alright too, in case you're wondering.
I've got to be honest, are we both a bit low energy again today?
I must be. I only had like 3 hours sleep last night.
Oh, why?
Because Alice was ill again.
Oh.
And she wasn't like, it's not like she was up all night, but because I know that she could be up all night at any time, I just couldn't get to sleep. Couldn't wind down.
Yeah.
But I'm not too bad right now. I'll probably crash halfway through the episode, so look out for that.
I thought I detected something when we just logged on just prior to the show. I thought, he doesn't sound as sprightly as he usually does.
Oh, I'm not. I'll try and maintain sprightliness at all times.
Yeah. Sprite levels must remain high.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got episode 64, which is as we've got a big episode this week, haven't we? This month, even.
Kind of. I don't know. I was thinking. I know we've got the 3 games. I don't know how much we're going to be able to say about some of them. Well, one of them
I think we'll find some stuff.
Yeah.
We normally find some stuff off the back of the sofa, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a 64 special because all these games are 64 related in some way in terms of their platform. They're either on the Commodore 64 or the Nintendo 64, which we thought would be a fun way of celebrating episode 64. So we're going to do that later. First of all, Tibbs, what have you been playing lately?
I have not been playing that much.
Okay.
It's been busy times over at Tibbs Towers. So I really haven't had much time to play. I've been playing a little bit of Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
You heard of this game?
Nope, that's new to me.
You're a little bloke. There's a variety of little blokes you can play as. It's like really retro pixel style graphics.
Okay.
You wander around. It's like top-down view. It's auto fire, so your character starts. There's a few different weapons that you can start with, but the default character starts with just a whip. So he's constantly, every few seconds, he'll whip.
So it's Castlevania sort of style.
Kind of, yeah. And like I say, it's top down, and then you'll have bats. They come in from all corners of the screen, and they all sort of converge on you.
We've discussed before how irritating video game bats are, haven't we?
Yes, we have, and these are no exception.
No.
But that's the basic thing of the game. You start with a single weapon. You kill some bats, and every few bats you kill will drop like a little gem. You collect the gems to level up. When you reach a level, you can choose a power-up. So you could choose a bit more health, you could choose an additional weapon, you could increase the power on your weapon.
So it's like a rogue-like, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the objective is you have to survive for 30 minutes.
Right.
As increasing waves of you get bats, you get wolfmans, you get Frankensteins, you get vampires, all the beasties that you can think of, all horror beasties. And if you make by the time you get to the 30-minute mark, it's just insane. There's like 10,000 creatures all coming at you, and you're just in the middle fighting them all off with whatever weapons and power ups you've collected throughout the thing. On paper, I've heard of it. I'd heard of it before, and it never really appealed to me that much. I thought it was a bit. I don't know. It's the fact that basically the only thing you control is movement because it's auto fire all the
Oh,
time.
okay, yeah. So as soon as you touch an enemy, he's auto killing him.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. To a degree, yeah. Like
So how do they attack you then? How do they hurt
they
you?
if they touch you.
Oh, if they touch you, but
If they touch you. So you've got a weapon, say your whip will have an area of effect directly in front of you. So he whips, anything that he whips will die. But then you can collect some of the power ups you get will be little things that orbit around you. So you've got like a little thing orbiting around you that will kill anything it touches. So you've got like a little shield around you basically. You can get other things like projectile weapons. You can get throwing knives, and you can collect some garlic, which will give you a little area around you where the bats can't come into, but other creatures can. It's easier to if you play it because it's cheap. It's only like a £5. If you play it, it makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
But to hear it described and to know like basically the only control you've got is just movement because the game fires the weapons for you, so you've just got to move your character around, and it sounds not that good on paper, but when you play it, it's got an addictive quality to it.
Yeah, I think to be honest, you can boil down most games to very simple controls. If you think about what you're actually doing, all you're really doing is moving and jumping or whatever, But that's just how games work, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it's good. It's good for a £5. Or however much it is. I got on a sale. I think it was like $2.99 or something on sale. For that, it's great. But there's like a Castlevania DLC come out for it now.
Oh, okay.
So it's
officially licensed in.
Yeah, so you get like some Castlevania music, some little Castlevania characters and monsters that will pop up and things like that. But yeah, it's good. I've put about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours into it it doesn't sound much over the course of a month or 5 weeks or whatever.
That's quite a lot to me.
But yeah, like I say, it's been busy times. So yeah, I played a bit of a game called Karmazoo as well, which was in the latest Humble Bundle pack, and it's kind of like a. Did you played Journey?
Yes.
It's that same sort of idea where it's multiplayer. I think it's up to 10 players on a stage, but you all have to work together. You've each got different skills to activate certain things in the stage, and you all have to cooperate. But there's no voice chat, there's no text chat.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you all have to kind of coordinate with each other to succeed without actually talking to each other. And I've only played like only about half an hour of it, but I think I'm going to put a lot more time into that. There's all different little creatures you can play, little funny things. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think that. Oh, and I played Buckshot Roulette.
Buckshot.
Yes.
All right. You've played 3 games I've never heard of.
Yes. So Buckshot Roulette is like Russian roulette, but you're playing it with a shotgun.
Okay.
So, and you're playing against this person with a very evil-looking mask, and he'll load like a few shells into the shotgun. It starts off like 2 of them are live rounds, 3 of them are blanks, and you can either fire it against when it's your turn. You can either choose to shoot him or shoot yourself. If you shoot yourself and it's a blank, then he skips a turn and you get another go. But obviously, if you shoot yourself and it's not a blank, then bang, you lose a life.
Right.
And,
what's the penalty for choosing to shoot him every time?
Well, if you shoot him,
So if he gets if he gets the blank,
yeah, if he gets the blank, then
you miss the next go.
Exactly,
Right,
yeah.
I see.
But then as you go on, you get like little power ups, so you can have a power up to restore one of your lives. So for each round, you're allowed to get like shot twice or shot 3 times, say. Video game logic. If you happen to shoot yourself in the face with a shotgun, they just give you a blast with the little defibrillator things, and then you're back alive again. That's how it would work.
That's real life, right? Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. But you can also get like one of the power ups is a pair of handcuffs, which you can make your opponent wear, and then they miss a turn by default. They miss a turn, but they get the power ups as well, so they can use them on you. So it's just kind of there's a lot of sort of randomness to it, obviously, which does make it a tad frustrating at times. And I got to be honest, I played it through till I got the first ending. Apparently, you can continue it on after that. If you play it more, you unlock more different things and more modifiers and power ups and things. I'd had enough of it by that point.
Yeah, it sounds like a little slightly thin game.
Yeah.
But yeah, was that a cheap one, I suppose?
That was cheap as well. That was cheap as well. I don't think I got it on Humble Bundle. I think I saw it on a YouTube video. I just thought, that seems a bit interesting. I don't think it was much. I think again, it must have been about a £5 or something, maybe less. It really wasn't that expensive.
It's funny when you see all these really cheap games, you just thought, why not just chuck it on, chuck it in the basket?
Yeah,
it's great, isn't it? It's great how games are so cheap.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I do think that sometimes,
Yeah, especially when you get a lot of content out of it, a lot of time. You think, wow, I spent hardly anything on this game, but I'm having a great time with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just hopefully the developers are getting enough money for it. But yeah.
What about you?
You can probably guess what I've been playing, I expect.
I think you've probably been playing the new DLC for the Atari 50 pack. With all the television games and things like that. Because you're mad for Atari, you are.
I'm mad for Atari, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, no, I bet you've been playing good old Shadow Generation, Sonic.
Yeah,
Sonic Cross. Sonic Cross.
What the hell do you call it? To be honest, the name is the worst thing about the game. Which is probably a good idea. But yeah, Sonic X Shadow Generation, Sonic Cross Shadow Generation.
I think it's
one of those
cross,
things where I think when you do that, it's supposed to be cross, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I've heard people just say X, so I wasn't sure. It's one of those things where they're trying to make sure that there's key words that they get in the title.
It's
really difficult to crowbar it in.
Like brute force in, like search engine optimization in there. Just stick every word in there that people know.
Exactly. Like Sonic and All-Stars Transformed Racing or whatever. It's just right, got to get these words in. How do we do it, But yeah, so it is what it is. But so yeah, those not in the know, this is a sort of modern port of Sonic Generations, which is a 13-year-old, very good 3D Sonic game. But they've also added a new mode as well, where you play as Shadow in his own story, which is about the same, in terms of gameplay, it's about the same amount of time, really, as Sonic Generations takes. Not as many levels and not as much content in there, but it's what's there is really, really good. These are some of the best levels that I've played in ages, certainly in 3D Sonic. They're really well put together. The controls are really good, really tight. I very rarely died without, where it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, that's
just some really exciting stuff. They've got these really nice set pieces where some of the levels transform into Radical Highway from Sonic Adventure 2 towards the end. And it all morphs around you, a bit like that movie Inception, where the buildings are sort of folding in on you. Some really, really cool stuff. And it's just a really exciting 3D action game. Whether you like Sonic or not, it's just like there's nothing else quite like this. When 3D Sonic is at its best like this, it's other than the ones that are deliberately trying to be like it, like what's it called, Sparky the Electric Jester.
Yes.
Like there's no other platform game that's sort of evolved in the same way as Sonic that makes this gives you this sort of high speed action. and it does it. It's just really, really, it's just really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I love Sonic Generations when it came out. I thought that would, that
Yeah.
was really. I think that was before the fatigue sort of set in with Chemical Plant, Green Hill.
Well, yes, that's
it was all that. It was before all the fatigue set in with that, but it was just really exciting to see those levels in 3D and to have them work so well as well.
Well, yeah, we talked about it in our Sonic episode, didn't we? That was the game that started it all, really, and they've sort of been treading the same thing over and over ever since. And yes, this is more reused levels, but at least they're fresh ones that they haven't reused before. So they're sort of shadowy levels. Good logical choices for the most part. There is one obvious thing that they've missed. There's no level from Shadow the Hedgehog itself. Shadow's own game is not represented other than in the boss and like the main bad guy. Instead, they've taken one of the open zones from Sonic Frontiers and turned it into a linear level. Even though Shadow wasn't even in that game, let alone had a level in it. So it's kind of a strange decision. There is another level coming in December with the Shadow movie pack where you get to play as Keanu, or his voice anyway. So apparently there's another level coming. So there might be a Shadow the Hedgehog level. Who knows? But yeah, other than that, it's good. I love a bit of Rail Canyon from Sonic Heroes, Kingdom Valley from Sonic 06. They're really, really nicely done. Like Generations itself, even if it's taking a level from a bad game, it does some really cool things with it.
How was it with the Sonic Frontier level, or the Sonic Frontier done in a more traditional sort of stage type way? Did you say was it in a 2D stage? Did you say?
So yeah, every level has a 3D act and a 2D act, and yeah, it's just like the others really. It's just it was a sort of the volcano world. So it didn't like replicate the environment. It just sort of created an original level within that theme. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got the white space area which links it all, which is Generations had a white space area, but it was basically just a linear thing. It's just a left and right thing with extra levels on the top. This is a whole open world like Frontiers, but smaller. And this is really, really good as well. Like better than I was expecting. It's about the size of a Mario Odyssey stage, I would say.
Oh, right.
So it's not too overwhelmingly big.
Yeah.
But they've crammed so many collectibles in there. It's kind of a collectathon, really. There's loads of little like nuts and bolts to collect for this other side thing, which I haven't even done yet, so I don't know what that's for exactly. But there's unlockable music and artwork and stuff, and like Professor Gerald's diary, like loads of things, like a lot of attention to detail in there. I've just having a great time just trying to find stuff in there. Really, it's really good. I think this is what they need to do going forward. They need to keep the open world stuff, but keep it sort of contained in this sort of fashion, and then just have these really awesome levels connected to it. It would actually work well if they ever do that Sonic Adventure remake that they keep threatening to do. It would actually apply really well to that sort of system where you've got an open world and all these levels, these action stages with it. So yeah, it's just really good. I was blown away by how good it was. Like, there's not a lot wrong with it, really.
I haven't played it yet, but I haven't heard. I don't think I've heard any negative criticism of it.
Not really.
It's all been.
It's got really good reviews.
Yeah.
So they can do it when they put their minds to it. They can do it. Old Sega.
Yeah, they can.
It's possible.
That's what's so frustrating about them. They can do it.
They can do it. Yeah. So hopefully they will take up all the positivity for this and apply it to the next game. And Generations is a pretty straight port as well. They haven't messed around with it like they did with Colors. It's 1-to-1 really. They've added some chow to find in the levels, but nothing else really. If anything, the Shadow Generations controls a bit better than Sonic Generations, and some of the buttons are slightly different, so it's always a bit jarring when you go back and forth between the two. One thing they've got in Shadow, which they've got in a fair few recent 3D Sonic games, is he's got a double jump, which helps a lot with the platforming. Whereas Generations didn't have that, and I guess it would have been too much to go through all the levels and make sure they all work if they added that.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice, because Generations feels a bit looser when you play it and a bit more chaotic. You can die more easily, But yeah, still both great games. Highly recommended.
I'm definitely going to pick it up. I mean, it appeals to me a lot more. I still haven't picked up Frontiers because it just doesn't. Everything I've seen of it, I know people say it's good, but I just don't think. I don't think it's for me. If it comes
fair
down to a
enough.
point where it's a really low price, I might pick it up if the price is cheap enough.
Yeah, if you ever get it cheap enough, I would give it a go.
Yeah.
Because you might find that you
Yeah.
you get into the open world more. The open world plays better than it looks. I would say that.
But this looks much more at my street.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
It's
is
much more traditional.
Yeah, this is what I would expect from a 3D Sonic game compared to some of the other stuff. So it's a little bit rich for my taste at the moment. I had a look on Steam and it's like $49.99 or something at the moment.
It's still a full price game.
So I might,
which is a bit rich if you've already got Generations. If you haven't, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. So
Shadow isn't light on content. There's enough in there, but it's not quite as much as you would expect to pay for a new 3D Sonic game, right?
No, so I'll probably wait for it to drop in price for a bit, but I am excited to play it because I enjoy Generations. I think Generations is great. So, it'd just be nice to. It's worth it to revisit that again. On more modern hardware.
Yeah, and I'm glad they've sort of kept it up. Brought it up to more modern hardware because it's a game that is worth preserving and keeping around. So. Good. Well done, Sega.
Yeah, well done.
News. Any news you want to talk about?
Yeah. How about Sega taking away all their back catalog? They give with one hand, they take away with another.
They do. What's that all about?
I don't know.
So they've announced just this week, at the time of recording, that on the 6th of December they will be delisting all their Mega Drive and Dreamcast games that are currently on Steam. No reason given.
No reason given
whatsoever.
It can't be a license thing because they own the licenses for
it's their games, most of them. Yeah.
What licensing issues could there be with Sega bass fishing?
Yeah. People are assuming that it's because they're going to do something new with them, which is possible. I mean, it's the only logical reason, really. I mean, you wouldn't just take away all the games for no reason, would you?
The thing is, they've been available for so long.
Yeah.
And the last time they did, well, the only time they've delisted things, they delisted Sonic 3, which was due to the rights issues with the music.
Well, they did with the other Sonic games as well
when
Origins came out.
They did the other ones when Origins was coming out. And we know they've got... they're working on new Streets of Rage, Golden Axe. I forget what the other ones were that they announced.
Jet Set Radio.
So there's some overlap there that they might want to get rid of the old ones because the new ones are coming out. But I can't imagine... the old Jet Set Radio isn't really going to be... No one's going to buy the old Golden Axe instead of the new one. Do you know what I mean?
They're not going to buy it mistakenly.
No.
Let's get that new Jet Set Radio game. And here we go. Oh, wait, no, this is the old one. Oh, I'll just play this. It's fine.
Yeah, so
no one does that.
I can only imagine they've got something coming up. They're going to do a new Sega collection, or there's going to be a new
or maybe even a subscription
service. Yeah,
the amount of games they took down, and there's the Mega Drive games. There's some quite not obvious ones. There's some fairly deep library they had, didn't there?
Yeah.
And the good thing about that was it was a legal way to buy ROMs, wasn't it?
I was going to say, because they were literally just the ROMs. If you downloaded it, it's just ROMs in your Steam folder. They're ready to go.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, I wish more companies did that. Just gave us the ROMs, and then we can do what we want to do with them.
Exactly.
People will pay. I'm sure people will pay for ROMs if you give them the opportunity.
Well, yeah, I bought them.
The people who made them.
I bought the Sega ones, And they're easy enough to get elsewhere, but I like the game, so I'll put. If you give me the chance to buy them, I'll buy them.
Yeah, I know. It does seem very baffling, but they do this sometimes. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of it, but. The solution better be as good as what we had.
Did you see, like the day after they announced it, they announced new merchandise for a lot of the titles, like new Streets of Rage merchandise, new Golden Axe merchandise, all these games that they're delisting. It's like the day after. Oh, don't forget to visit our store. You can't buy you won't be able to buy the games, but you could buy a jacket with the games on.
Forget the games. We've got this lovely duck that's shaped like.
Those ducks! I don't get them. I don't get those ducks.
No, No, it's like the Funko Pops, isn't it? It's just a thing with it that looks like any number of characters that is applied to it. But
I mean, I
don't get them.
I don't get the Funko Pops either because I think they all look the same. Really, I actually found this a website. I can't remember where it was. It was one of these quizzes, and you had to guess what the characters of the Funko Pops were. I couldn't tell. I had no idea. They were all the same.
I know. They've all got the same stupid face on them.
The same stupid face. But at least they're cute in their own way. I could see someone looking at that and thinking, "Oh, that's a cute little thing." Those ducks, they're hideous.
A duck is too specific a thing.
Yeah.
A duck. I mean, why would you want a duck that's,
Why would you like a duck that's is like a body horror version of the guy from Yakuza series? Or it's just weird. I don't understand it.
No, very odd.
I was gonna make a snarky tweet as well, as I do.
You don't do this very often. That's not very unusual.
I know it's unusual for me. But I was going to make a snarky tweet about I bet you could buy some Golden Axe cologne or something on the Sega shop. They've taken down all their colognes.
Oh no!
Yeah, you can't even buy the Sonic cologne anymore.
What? You can't smell like Sonic?
You can't smell like Sonic. You cannot smell like.
First they take away our games. Now they've gone too far.
I know.
Take away the cologne, man. Look, it's worth looking online to see the list of things that you should buy if you haven't already bought.
You should buy Sega. You should buy Sega Bass Fishing.
Sega Bass Fishing, as we've discussed before.
I
still haven't played it. A small one. I still haven't played it. I need to get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it's good. I will say that my next game that we'll be playing next month is amongst this list.
Oh. So
I'll tell you about that later, but definitely buy that when I tell you about what it is. Yeah, it's happening on 6th of December, so you better get moving. Let's stick with Sega, sort of. Not Sega, but Sega. Do you see this Super Sega FPGA?
Oh,
console?
Yeah, that's a murky barrel of fish. Is that a phrase?
So it's another one of these, these I think they're Spanish, aren't they? They've come up with this. Yeah, we're going to do this Super Sega FPGA console. It's going to play every Sega console in an FPGA thing, and they showed the board, and I couldn't. If you showed me a board, I couldn't tell one end from the other. But a lot of people were pointing out, saying this load of bollocks, really, wasn't it?
Like someone was saying that like the front USB port just routed to the back USB. It didn't actually go anywhere. And it's like, well, okay. I don't know. The whole thing is very fishy. They put a pre-order type thing up where you could place a quote unquote pre-order for $3.
Yes.
Or it was $3 or $4. Let's say $3.
Yeah.
And if I remember it correctly, I might be wrong. So this is just how I recall it. It may be wrong. It was something like you could put a $3 deposit down. If they got a certain amount of deposits, then that would indicate that there was enough interest for them to go forward. And then they would make the device, and your $3 would then give you a chance to buy one when it came out.
Okay.
But then people started reporting that they've been charged the full $395, $400 for it.
Yeah. Very, very fishy.
Very fishy.
Yeah.
And there's a video, like the video of the guy demonstrating it, was him in his underwear in a completely barren hotel room.
Yes.
And to reset the console, he was like dropping an Allen key into like a hole on the top of the console and sort of waggling it about to get it to reset. It was weird. It's just...
Yeah, it's very strange, wasn't it?
It's very strange. It's very strange. And there's people like who know about FPGA development and stuff who were saying, it seems very ambitious what they say, claiming that it's got like this perfect FPGA implementation of a Dreamcast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know people are making good progress on the Saturn core. But, yeah, Dreamcast, I'm pretty sure hasn't had a lot of progress made on it. Relatively. So, the fact that these guys can suddenly do it seems very suspicious in of itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. yeah, the whole thing just seems. I don't like it. It doesn't pass the sniff.
Doesn't pass the Tibbs sniff test.
No.
No. It wouldn't be the first scam console, would it? We seem to have had a few of these over the years. I mean, was that Coleco Chameleon one?
The Coleco Chameleon, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I would say for legal reasons we shouldn't describe anything as an out and out scam.
No.
But in terms of not delivering what was originally promised, shall we say, I think that's probably okay to say.
Yeah.
That Intellivision, that Tommy Tallarico...
Yeah, the Amico, was it?
Amico,
yeah, that
it.
sort of fizzled out into nothing.
That's fizzled out completely, hasn't it? And like some of the games that were, meant to be Amico exclusives are now on the iOS App Store.
Wasn't it that Earthworm Jim 3 they were going to do?
There was an Earthworm Jim, yeah.
It turned out it never was in development ever. Was that right?
It was something like that. It was something like that, and like even the preview of it was just an Earthworm Jim sprite on a beach, and it wasn't even that was it. And it's
with
like
a bit of music from Earthworm Jim 2, and that was literally it. They just got some animator to knock it up, I think.
Yeah. It's like an old Newgrounds Flash animation or something.
It did, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. I mean, okay, good, I guess. Is there a game, or is it just that?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a few things pop up, and good. I know the ColecoVision one. Didn't the guy show it off at an exhibition or something once, and someone took a picture of the board and looked at it online, and it was just a router. He just took a router out of its case and just stuck it in a.
Oh, it's amazing what people can get away with, isn't it?
I know, it really is. Yeah. I mean, I hope it's successful. I hope it's an actual thing because.
Well, yeah, you never know. I mean, it could turn around and they actually come out with the proper thing, and it's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
I think these FPGA cores and Mister and projects like that, they're going to become increasingly important, especially for things like the Dreamcast. They're not making a new GD-ROMs.
Exactly.
Eventually, those lasers are going to fail, and it's going to be projects like this and optical drive emulators and things like that that keep these consoles running far into the future. So
yeah,
the more options we've got, the better. So I hope everyone's just being cynical and the guy proves everyone wrong, but I wouldn't bet on it.
No. If I'd put a $3 pre-order and they charged me $300 and something, I'd be very, very worried. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a video online of the guy driving a Lamborghini as well, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, right. What, a recent one?
Yeah.
The other day. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. He's pulling up outside his house in a brand new Lamborghini.
Okay. Right. Okay. It's, alarm bells ringing.
Yeah. A few causes for concern.
Yeah, it's some research for emulating a Lamborghini game on the Mega Drive.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's briefly touch on Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
So up until this week, they've been announcing everything except the Switch 2, haven't they? They told us about Alarmo, which is their little Nintendo alarm clock thing.
Yeah.
And then they announced Nintendo Music, their own music app, finally acknowledging that people actually like to listen to the music from their games, albeit in their own app. Everyone else just puts it on Spotify. That's absolutely fine. But no, it's typical Nintendo, isn't it? They have to have control.
Yeah.
So they have to,
and you have to have a Nintendo Plus subscription for it.
Yeah, and they spoon feed you, these new soundtracks rather than just dumping them all on, like with the NES games that they keep pulling out from somewhere. But yeah, at least it's some acknowledgement that people like their music anyway. I mean, personally, I like to just get it for myself and get the MP3s and have my own little collection going. But, whatever. But then they said that the Switch's successor will be will run Nintendo Switch software.
Yeah,
how they worded it, wasn't it? Which isn't fully saying that it's going to be completely backwards compatible in like a Wii GameCube sense. So it might be more like an Xbox sense for all we know, because
it seems very carefully worded.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the ideal situation would be it's, whatever the Switch 2 is, it just runs like a modified version of the current Switch carts. So your old ones will still work as well. Same.
Well, that would be great. Yeah,
same profile.
It'd be great if they have a different cartridge for the Switch 2. It'd be great if they had a legacy one like the original DS.
Yeah.
Where you could put Game Boy Advance games in. It'd be nice if you could still keep your cartridge.
That would be the ideal.
Have to do it all digitally.
But the way they've worded it makes me think it may be compatible with your digital releases.
Yes.
Yes,
and they like Xbox, they might just allow access to certain ones. Or so I would be cautious about just assuming that everything, because the Switch has a massive library if you can include all the eShop that's on there. It's probably got one of the possibly the biggest library ever, I think, of a console, isn't it?
And honestly, genuinely one of the best. I think there's such a good range of games on there.
Yes, there is. There's definitely a lot of shovelware on that eShop, but there's some great stuff on there.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more in terms of the games that people have put a physical release to. But
of course, yeah.
But
definitely.
It's really, honestly, it's got probably one of my favourite game libraries ever. I would say it's second only to the PS2 in terms of the range of games and what's available.
Oh, there's no doubt it's been a huge success for them, hasn't it? The whole console. I mean, they when you think how poorly the Wii U did, they turned it around massively. But they do tend to go up and down, Nintendo, so I wouldn't assume that the Switch 2 will be an automatic success. We'll have to see what it is. We call it Switch 2, we don't even know what it's called yet, do we?
I'm holding out the Switch 2 is my last beacon of hope for this console generation.
Oh yeah, of course
really.
It is.
The Xbox Series, whatever, no interest. PS5, too expensive, I only want to play Astrobot. So in terms of the next gen, everything's riding on Nintendo now.
It is, very much so. It's all down to them. Because they're the only ones putting out interesting exclusive software.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Right, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
So let's move on to the 64 games, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, coming up after the break, we will talk about the Commodore 64 games first, shall we? Do them in chronological order.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Video Game Book Club.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about some Commodore 64 games for the first time ever on the podcast. This is very exciting, isn't it? New territory. We've only even done one game from the 80s so far, which is Herzog II, which is 89.
Oh yeah.
So
that's quite surprising. Yeah.
That is surprising. Actually, to be fair, only one of these 64 games is from the 80s, but it's it's an area that I don't know very well, particularly these 8-bit computers. I must admit, I get Retro Gamer magazine quite often, and I tend to flip through the articles about the 8-bit ones. I just sort of go through them because they don't, just visually they don't appeal to me. Like I don't have much connection with them. So it's interesting to play them for the first time and actually think, actually, there's gameplay boiled down to its most basic components here, and it still works.
Yeah.
So it's quite an eye opener for me that these. They're all right, actually.
Yeah.
Which, to my shame. I mean, some people like slightly older gamer generation to us will be cringing right now by me saying that. But yeah, it's they're actually quite playable.
Yeah, they are. They're very playable. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the Commodore 64, I think in particular. I mean, there's still a bit of console war rivalry there, really, for me, because some kids in school had the Spectrum, some had the Commodore 64. I had the Commodore 64, and I still to this day think it's the better one between the C64 and the Spectrum. But a lot of people still like the Spectrum, but I don't. I don't know. I do. I think it's all right. But the Commodore 64 is better.
Okay, right. So you've got a lot of background with this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about
platform.
probably way back on the first episode, or the lost episode, the pre-first episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Commodore 64 was the first computer exposure I ever had to video games and computers in general. So that kick-started it for me.
Yeah, I nearly had one. We saw. This is a really strange story, but we sort of had one. Basically, I was rummaging around in my parents' wardrobe once when I was a kid, which is where they kept the Christmas presents. So don't judge me, but I look there every year. But right at the back of the wardrobe, there was a box for a Commodore 64. And I don't know if I knew what that was at the time, but it had a keyboard on it, so I figured this is a computer. We've got a computer here. Why have they not told me that we've got a computer in the house? But I never went as far as getting it out, and I couldn't ask them about it because obviously they'd give the whole game away about the fact that I knew where they had my presents. So, but eventually, Mum mentioned at one point later on that my Uncle Steve gave them this old computer, but they left it too close to a radiator apparently, and it no longer worked.
What? No.
That's what the story was. I never got it out to look, but apparently that's what she said. So, and I assume that's the computer that she meant, this Commodore 64 that was at the back of the wardrobe. Apparently they left it too close to a radiator and it stopped working. Is that a thing?
I suppose. No, I don't think so. It's possible,
No,
I suppose.
Yeah.
They don't still have it, do they?
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen it in about 30 years. But yeah, it was just.
I'd have a look at it.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure it's buried 5 miles under the ground by now. But So yeah, I came very close to having a C64.
Yeah.
And actually, now that I thought about it recently. We used to have a joystick hanging around that had a like a Mega Drive style connector.
I bet that's what
that's where it came from. And it's only occurred to me in the last couple of years that would that was why we had a joystick. Because we didn't have a computer. Why would we have had a joystick hanging around? I used to play on it. I used to just wobble it around. It's the black one with the red button on the top.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. But
Quick shot.
Right, yeah. So that's what we had, but I never got to play on it, sadly.
Aww.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, let's get to the game, shall we?
Well, I was going on the subject. I might have mentioned this before, but I remember distinctly as a child, we had in the house somewhere a ColecoVision and an Intellivision. And we had the little a ball controller with it, size of a mouse pad with a rollerball in the middle, and we had a few games. We had Carnival, we had Donkey Kong, had all these games. It's vanished, and I don't know where it's gone.
Oh, that's annoying.
My mum, before she died, probably a year before she died, I asked her. I said, you remember us having it? And she said, yeah. And I said, did you give it away to anyone? Did you think, it's old-fashioned now, I'll give it to a charity shop, throw it away, give it to someone down the street? I don't know. She said, no, I wouldn't have got rid of it because I know you like games.
Oh, so it could still be around somewhere.
It's not there. Because I cleared my dad's loft, I don't know when it was now, about a year ago, 6 months, a while ago. Emptied the loft out completely. It's not there. It's vanished into the ether.
Oh,
and
I hate it when things just vanish for no explanation.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying because I would really love to add that to my little collection now, but no, it's gone to vanish to the mists of time. But
what a shame.
Like you say, it's probably 5 miles underground now in a landfill somewhere. But I would have had it.
Yeah, I know. What a shame.
Yeah. But anyway, so what did you make of which one did you play first? Did you go for Monty on the Run first?
We'll talk about Monty on the Run first, shall we? Yeah. Okay. So this is developed by Peter Harrop, published by Gremlin Graphics, released for the Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum in October 1985, the earliest game we have ever done on this show.
Yeah.
And the Commodore 16 in 1986. You can get the original cassette for about £10 to £20, or you can actually buy the CPC and Spectrum version on Steam for £3.39, which I wasn't aware of.
I wasn't aware of that. Surprised me.
Yeah, no, you can go and get it. So this is the third game, apparently, in the Monty Mole series, which sees Monty on the run from the authorities after intervening in the miners' strike. Monty must use items from his Freedom Kit to escape his home and the country as he heads for the English Channel. So, very British-based game.
He crossed the picket lines, and now he's got a run.
Yeah, and I love that. I love how simple a game's premise like that could be, and how specific it could be to like your local area. Like, you don't get that in any generation afterwards, do you? Really?
No.
I love it. Fantastic. So, interestingly, in 1987, it was also localized for Japan for the Nintendo Famicom Disk System, where it was released as Monty's Great Heart-Pounding Escape. The environments were changed to Aztec-like temples, and Monty was replaced by a human escaping from jail. Before you think, how would the storyline apply to Japanese people? They changed it. Yeah, I like the charm of this. I liked it. It was good. It was very, very difficult.
Oh, it's so difficult. And I think a lot of the games from that era are just brutally difficult.
Of course they are. Yeah, it's just the way games were, isn't it? And obviously, being used to sort of more precise control over things, I kind of struggle with that a little bit, because the jump, you know, you've got a straight jump that goes up, or you've got a left or right jump that goes in a very particular trajectory, and you can't really change it. So getting my head around that and avoiding enemies that were coming back and forth to try and dodge them was quite difficult for me.
I find it, I got to say, because I've actually got the cassette version of it as well, and you know, on the to play on the original hardware, it's easier on an emulator because the controls are much more crisp.
Right.
If you remember that joystick you used to play with,
yeah,
how gummy and soft and rubbery it is. It's not like
it felt like it barely moved in a sense. It was like you moved it like half a centimeter, and that was about it. So it wasn't very responsive, from what I remember.
It's very like gummy is the only way I can describe it. It's not precise at all. And trying to play it with, you know, an actual joystick as it was intended, it makes it so much more frustrating and so much more difficult. It's torture.
A challenge, yeah. So, I mean, it's basically what I would think of as a quintessential 8-bit game from when I flipped through retro gaming. It looks like that. So it's like a black background, single screen thing. So you move within the screen rather than the screen scrolling with you. And once you leave the side of a room, you jump straight to the next room. And there's stuff to avoid. You know, I did like the range of enemies. Like it ranges from a bird or whatever to like a kettle.
A kettle, a coffee
with a face
cup,
on it.
A little thing with a big nose.
Yeah, big nose guy. I mean, it's just literally anything they could think of, you know. And it's just like these really basic sort of single color sprites. But I just love it. I love that. You know, let's just throw a kettle in there, you know, a guy with a big nose, whatever. Chuck it in. And it's just so random and so like just British, you know. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I think all these games are British, aren't they? The N64 one definitely is.
The N64 one, I'm not sure about Mayhem in Monsterland. It might be.
Yeah,
it might be.
It might be, but it's just the Britishness from the first and last of these games anyway it's brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
It's, there's a charm to them that you don't get from like, you know, games from other places, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
maybe that's because we're British and we recognise it. I don't know.
I suppose, yeah, but I think it was that era, you know, where people were making games in their bedroom, and you know, people were making games, you know, solo developers just working on this idea that they got.
Yeah, it's like write what you know about, you know. It's just a miners' strike,
and it's just that unbridled creativity. I don't think you know it before the days of big companies dictating how a development goes. You know, I want to have a big nose guy and a coffee cup that goes up and down, and you know, there's a pool of water in the house for some reason that if you fall into, it kills you, and the house is filled with things squashers that go up and down and squash you. You know, modern game development will be like, well, no, that doesn't
It doesn't
make
fit
sense.
with
There's no,
the
it's
scheme, the theme.
no
Yeah.
there's no coherent artistic direction. But back then,
Yeah.
it was just like, whatever, stick it in.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love that attitude. Yeah, there isn't loads to say about it, I must admit. But
There's not. I mean, I did look up a long play on YouTube to see how long the game can be completed in if you know what you're doing. 12 minutes.
12, yeah, it's something like that, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course. But you will definitely not do that straight
You
away.
will not do it in 12. No, you will not do it in 12 minutes.
And I didn't realise at the time, and I mentioned it in the description, that at the beginning, because I played this on an emulator, and I did the beginning, and then I was just basically using save states throughout the whole rest of things, so I never went back to the beginning. But you pick your escape kit, your freedom kit, from these items, but it doesn't tell you what the items are. Those are listed in the manual, and they've got corresponding numbers, and it's only the numbers that you see on screen.
Yeah.
And this was a kind of a what's called piracy prevention method to make sure that people who actually bought it had the manual, so they knew how to get the correct freedom kit. Because apparently, if you don't get the right freedom kit, you can't complete the game.
You can't complete the game. No, you need to get the whole kit.
The right collection of items. I don't know what happens if you don't. Presumably, you get to an obstacle that you can't get past.
I think it just doesn't let you finish a game. Yeah, I think it just doesn't trigger the end.
Yeah, because I did encounter a lift that when I went in it just pulled up and then squashed me back down. And I wasn't sure if that was a dead end or if I just didn't have the right item of freedom kit. I don't know. Do you know that bit?
No.
Okay.
Hands up. I've never completed it.
No, I don't.
I've
It
never
doesn't
completed
surprise
it.
me. No.
I'm not good
I
at
don't
that.
think I got anywhere near completing it. I did a few screens.
It's absolutely a skill issue on my part.
Yeah. A few screens of near constant save stating just to get through, because I didn't want to be stuck on like 2 screens of the game and not having got any further than that.
And if there's certain, like the only a couple of screens in, there's a power up. It looks like a power up. It's a stick of dynamite. You pick up, it just kills you. Yeah. Never mind. Back to the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, this was like the Wild West times of games, wasn't it? Where just anything could happen. That they didn't necessarily have to follow any strict rules about what users expect. It's just right, dynamite stick, pick it up, blows you up,
Gone.
Start again, mate. You just had to follow the rules that the developer had set out, don't you?
Yeah.
Each individual developer set out his own rules. Yeah, but we got to talk about the music, of course.
The music,
as our friend Rick requested a full version of the 6-minute theme tune, which we'll stick at the end. But yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's fantastic.
it's so good.
It's got like the guitar going on. It's just I think it's pretty much just one theme in the whole game that plays over all the levels. But it's a banger. It's a bit like the same thing that applied to Space Harrier. Just that one awesome tune throughout the whole thing. And that's the approach they've gone through here, and it's
such an overachieving song. It's like you hire someone to, I just need a song for this little video game about a mole.
It didn't have to go this hard. As
and you come back with this absolute masterpiece of a song. It's like, oh wow, okay. It's a game about a mole avoiding teacups. I mean. This is great.
Wow, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's the SID chip, isn't it?
Yes.
C64, is that something else? Yeah. So this is a famously good system for music, isn't it?
Oh,
in the right hands. Yeah, it sounded awesome.
It's so good. And the game over screen and the game over music.
I don't know if I got to it because I was just save stating my way through.
Oh no! God,
is it good?
No.
Oh no, you
so
did
good.
say yes. I remember last time you said it had a good game over screen. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, I can't believe you've done this. Yeah, you
I'll just go and look it up now. Right.
Go look it up now.
All right, sorry about this. I will go and look it up right now. Monty Mole on the Run. It's called, isn't it?
Monty on the Run.
Monty on the Run. On the high score screen at the moment. Oh. I missed it. What happened?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What happened? You get the and the flash of the game over coming in and they're moving about and
Okay.
it's the whole thing.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I get it. Was that impressive for C64?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought. Do you know what? You'd built it up so much. I thought it was going to be something absolutely hilarious happening. Like, I don't know.
It's not hilarious. It's just that.
Okay. Right. Let me just listen to it again because maybe I was looking out for something and I missed the thing that you told me to look for.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, right. So most common.
So what? Sorry. What's impressive about it? I don't get it. What, the scrolling text? Is that it?
No.
Oh, with the game over the where the words come in.
Right. Okay. I
Letters
sent you a link for. I don't know if you'll keep this bit in or not, but so I sent you a link
Probably
for.
will. It's hilarious.
A online game review show called Consolvania, and
Yes, you did.
I can't describe it any better than Rob did. Rob Florence, who's the narrator on that video, and he describes it as he says something along the lines of the game over screen will have you embracing the idea of death like an ailing pope, which I think is quite amusing in and of itself. But he says it's just the whole ambience of it. The whole atmosphere, the music, the way the game over thing comes in. Because most Commodore 64 games, it would just be, game over, and it'd just be like a little bit of text. But this has got the whole. It goes so.
Yes, there's a lot going on. Yes, I see what you mean. I didn't have that context because this is literally these two are the only Commodore 64 games I've ever played and really seen in action. So I don't know what they're capable of normally. I don't have that context.
I think it's a combination of the music and the game over music on its own. That's a lovely bit of music.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it's just the whole package. The whole package is a lovely package.
No, I see what you mean. Yes, I do. With the context, I see what you mean. But I think I don't know what I was looking for, and to me. Obviously, I'm used to newer games than this, so I don't know. It just looked perfectly normal to me. But compared to the standard gameplay of it, I suppose it is quite impressive.
If you've ever had Mr. Kipling's French Fancy,
yeah,
it's like the game is the main cake bit, and then you've got that little nodule of like cream or something on the top.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's that game over screen. So the game and the music, that's the main cake bit, and you think, oh, okay, I've had a nice cake. That's all Mr. Kipling's got for me. No, he's got a nodule of cream on the top as well. Bam, that's that game over screen.
Except you usually start with that bit, I find. Or at least have it in the bite. I take it all in one go. I think a better analogy, with all due respect, would be the cornetto with the solid bit of chocolate at the bottom.
Oh, actually,
which we've talked about before.
Yes, actually,
that literally is at the bottom. No one will start with that.
That's true. I agree with that. Although it is quite fun to, if the cornetto is slightly melted, you could buy that off and suck the cornetto out through the bottom. That's another technique.
That's quite fun as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
That doesn't really fit with our analogy, but
no, it doesn't. But let's assume that it's not too hot a day and you're just enjoying a cornetto in a normal fashion. Yeah, I think we get the idea. But yes, I'm terribly sorry that I've offended you there.
Well,
with my lack of understanding of what constitutes an amazing C64 game over.
Just an entire generation of gamers. I mean,
I know. I feel like they really hate me by this point because I'm just like a noob compared with all this. There'll be 50-year-old listeners to our podcast who are just screaming and just shutting off. They've probably already turned it off by now, haven't they? If any of you are still listening, I'm deeply sorry about this. I must seem like a Gen Zer to them,
Gen Zer.
How old is this guy? Like 21? No, I'm nearly 40. I'm very sorry.
Did it just directly into the game, or did you do it authentically, where you had to type in all the loading commands and wait for it to load and all the good stuff?
No, it pretty much got me straight in.
Ah.
I don't think I have to type anything. Is that part of the experience as well?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know, do I?
Yeah, you got to type it in.
I haven't played on the bloody thing.
You got to wait sort of 15, 20 minutes for it to load. You know, sort of.
Yeah, I know that bit. I know that there's a lot of waiting involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really showing myself up for this. I shouldn't have come up with this idea in the first place. Really, we should have just stuck to 90s games. Oh well.
Yeah,
anyway, it's good.
I
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Right. Speaking of the 90s, should we move on to the next game, which is in the 90s, but
Yeah.
also on the C64? So this is called Mayhem in Monsterland. It was developed and published by Apex Computer Productions, released for the Commodore 64 around November 1993. Apparently it also released on the Wii Virtual Console in Europe of all
I had no idea it did that, no.
Yeah, me neither. In October 2008, as a European exclusive, which leads me to think it might have been made in Europe in the first place. Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get that anymore, obviously, but that was on the Wii. I found a range of prices for this on eBay: £40, £70, over £100. I don't know. Take your pick. I think it's been re-released a couple of times. If you want a proper version, it's going to cost a bit.
I looked on eBay just before the show, and yeah, the cheapest one is £70, and there's two on for £100. So yeah, it's not a cheap one.
Not a cheap one. Just emulate it, I would. This is a scrolling 2D platformer. That's right, scrolling one.
Yeah.
In which an apprentice magician dinosaur named Theosaurus accidentally turns Monsterland from a happy, colourful place into a sad and miserable one while practicing a spell one day. Enter the hero of the story, Mayhem, a little dinosaur who can collect magic dust to give to the magician in the hope of restoring life and colour to each of the levels in the game one by one. Hence the name Mayhem in Monsterland, because he's called Mayhem and he's in Monsterland. I thought that was quite clever. This is good, isn't it?
It's very good.
I was like, wow, I didn't realise the C64 could do anything like this.
No.
This is like a Mega Drive or a SNES platformer.
I'm going to say, if you were to just look at it, I would have rated it somewhere between an 8-bit and a 16-bit sort of game. It's incredible for a C64.
Visually, it still looks like an 8-bit game, although a lot of detail in there. But obviously, it's limited by the colour palette. It's got quite a weird colour palette, hasn't it? The C64. It's quite sort of muddy colours.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. Was that a technical limitation, or did they actually choose?
No,
because obviously they're limited.
A lot of the games have that same sort of kind of muted colour palette. I think it is a hardware
strange,
thing.
Isn't it? But yeah, other than that, it just looks and plays like it's a cross between Sonic and Mario.
I was going to say.
There's bits
even
from both
like the character design is, he's a legally distinct yellow Sonic, basically.
He basically is, and he moves a lot like him as well. Like there's actual momentum in this platform game. Like you can jump, and depending on how long you hold down the jump button, that affects the height. You've got full control over where he jumps. He's got a bit of speed to him, and after the first level, he gets a dash move where he gets a lot of speed to him, and it's so smooth. It's silky smooth. There's not a hiccup in sight.
It's incredible.
I couldn't believe it.
I really don't know how they pulled it off on the Commodore 64.
I can say, I'm guessing this is not normal by this point in the C64's life.
I think
even by 93.
No, most people had abandoned the C64 by that point. But even the big game titles, I think maybe Lemmings was getting a port for the C64 at that sort of time, and yeah, nothing compares to it. I don't think there's any. I don't think he's got outside of demo scene things where they do sort of music, audio visual productions. There's nothing that comes close to what it can do on the Commodore 65. I'm jaw dropped by it. If I'd have played it when I was a kid, it would have blown me away.
I can imagine. Imagine if you're just used to things like Monty Mole and then you play this. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a step up. I couldn't believe. I mean, I know there's 8 years between them, which is a lot, it's to take any game from a start for a console's library and compare it with one from the end, you're going to see a big difference. But this is an enormous difference.
I think we've talked about before how limitations on a console can force developers to be creative and be inventive about how they do things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to have all the muscle that modern consoles have, but I think it just results in a bit less innovation, maybe, because people don't have to work around those limitations, and they don't have to learn the idiosyncrasies of a particular platform. I think when you get a developer who really has taken the time to really look at what a platform can do and have worked to its strengths, you can get really incredible things like this.
It is amazing when you look at the behind the scenes articles on so many games about what they have to do to get things to look as good as they do with the limitations of any sort of early console or system. It's mind bending. Well, the creativity involved in getting it to work is and that they must have had to do all sorts of tricks to get this running anywhere near as smoothly as it does.
Yeah, I mean, I can only assume it must have been written all in assembly. I can't. Most sort of old Commodore 64 games were written in assembly, and that's trying to something like that in assembly the guy must be a genius.
Yeah. So let's talk about the game itself. So it's a side-scrolling platformer. You kind of got these levels that they're not linear in the sense that you kind of have to explore them a bit to get all the collectibles. So when you're in the black and white stage, you've got to get 10 bags of magic dust, and you usually get them from hitting the enemies or they're sort of lying around and stuff. So if you sort of run towards the end, I ran to the end and I hit a brick wall and I couldn't get any further. I'm like, what have I done something wrong? What's going on? Eventually I figured out that you have to go and collect these things. That's the whole point of the game. So you have to sort of explore a bit, and then when you've got them, you have to go find this little route down, and you give them to the dinosaur, and then he makes the whole thing happy for the next part of the level. So I think it's the same environment, but then you get to collect these stars, and I think they're kind of optional, aren't they, at that point?
Yeah.
So fairly simple mechanics, but I enjoyed it. I like that it wasn't just a straight linear platformer, get from A to B. You had to do a little bit of backtracking to find these things. And it came a bit close to the time. I ran out of time after a while because you're timed on it, and it was like I picked up a few, but I was just dashing to get to the next checkpoint. As soon as you get the checkpoint, it saves the amount that you've got. So there was a bit of a frantic moment where I got there within 1 second, so I managed to keep the ones that I'd collected at that point. So it's simple. It's simple stuff, but it's just done really well.
Yeah, precisely. It's very, it's nothing you haven't played before, really. It's very simple. Yeah. It's just a simple side-scrolling platformer, but it's just done in such a technically impressive way, and it gets so much out of a console that time was a decade or probably a decade old. Commodore 64, I think, came out in '84.
I'm guessing it didn't get played much at the end of its life. Is that right?
Well, no, not really. I mean, at that time, when did this come? When did
93 this came out?
93. So Sonic 2 was out by then. Sonic 3 was on its way. Super Mario Land. The gaming had moved on way past what the Commodore 64 was offering at that point.
Yeah.
To put something like that out and showed that it could still compete, really, in terms of gameplay.
It's amazing, yeah. It looks like something, as you said earlier, that people much more recently would have been able to get out of the Commodore 64 with time and without the pressure of having to release a game, for a lot of money. to keep themselves going. So the fact that they did it, within the Commodore 64's lifespan and sold any is brilliant.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I would say the music is definitely a step down from what we've just been hearing in Monty.
Yeah, but I mean
very
that's
very repetitive. But that's kind of normal for some games, I suppose, is it at that time? I don't know.
It depends. I mean, the Commodore 64 had a lot of really, really good composers. From that era. There's music composed then that you still stands the test of time now. But I mean, Monty on the Run was done by a guy called Rob Hubbard. The music. Yeah. He's a legend in his own right. Some of the best game soundtracks of all time, so the most catchy ones, were done by Rob Hubbard. So. That's like a really high bar to reach.
Sure.
So there aren't many games that can compete with his soundtrack.
No, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, that's our two C64 games. I couldn't believe the difference between them.
Yeah,
it's like night and day. It's like, other than the color palette, I would have thought that I'd been playing on two different consoles there. Incredible. But yeah, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed their sort of simplistic, especially with Monty, the sort of the simple approach to gameplay. As I said before, it's kind of gameplay boiled down to its most basic form, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
it's still, even though you're dying a lot. So I'm gonna try and look into this a bit more and have more of an open mind with games from this era.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's definitely room for some more sort of Commodore and Spectrum games, in the future, because there are some games out there that really, they really try to do some different things with, really games before their time, really. And the tricks they did with the hardware, the limitations they had. Yeah, there's a lot to be explored there. So I think we probably will revisit some of the 8-bit computers again. In the future at
even
some point.
Just general games from the 80s, like the NES. We've never done anything on the NES either.
No, we haven't.
I haven't really played much NES, to be honest. And I'd like to. So we'll think about it. The problem is some of these games are quite simple, so there's not always a lot to talk about in them. So we'd have to do multi-book clubs, I think.
I was going to say it might be an occasion where we look at, a particular genre or, some kind of gimmick for that episode, like we did with this one with the 64. Some kind of gimmick where we can have an opportunity to look at a selection of games from a given console or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for that. Yeah, we'll think about that next year. So we're not done yet, folks, because we've got one more game to talk about. We're jumping ahead to the N64, and we're going to talk about Space Station Silicon Valley. Developed by DMA Design, published by Take-Two Interactive, and released for the Nintendo 64 in October 1998 in the US and November in Europe. A Game Boy Color adaptation of it was released in Europe the following year, and Runecraft handled a PlayStation port in 2000 under the name Evo Space Adventures that is by all accounts much, much worse. I think it's been described as the laziest port ever, so don't play that version, play the N64 version. You can get a loose cartridge for about £20 or double that for a box one. So it's not too bad as far as the N64 goes. I want to describe the first few minutes of the game first, because I think it kind of sets up the gameplay nicely and also the sense of humour that the game has.
Yeah.
So, in the year 2001, a space station called Silicon Valley is launched, but promptly disappears. It reappears 1,000 years later, so the duo of Dan Danger, a human, and Evo, a robot, are sent out to investigate. Unfortunately, they get into an argument about what music to listen to, and Evo punches Dan in the mouth, causing them to crash land their spaceship directly into the space station. So the space station itself is made up of 4 sort of separate Earth-like kind of biomes, isn't it? And it's inhabited by robotic animals for some reason, but they're just all there. And so at the intro, we cut to a robot dog called Roger and a robot sheep called Flossie, who are in love and about to start a little romantic relationship. And Roger's very happy that Flossie has said yes, she's going to be his girlfriend. And at that point, the spaceship comes right down and crashes into Roger and kills him.
Yeah, it's awful.
Poor Roger. But I did like the humour.
Yes.
It's quite good.
It's very typical DMA humour in that.
Yeah, and it's just like the sound effects and everything. It's just like so immature, and again quite British, and I love it. So at that point, Evo's seat is ejected, and it kind of collides with glass around the biome, and Evo breaks up into pieces, leaving only a tiny microchip, and that's the character essentially that you control throughout the game. You're a microchip. And you then jump into Roger the dog, and you can then start controlling him. And that's the basis for the gameplay. Basically, each level, you've got a range of animals roaming around, and you're the microchip, and you can jump into them and take on their new abilities. So it's basically your Cappy from Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah.
It's essentially the same gimmick. You jump in, you possess these creatures, and they've all got their own abilities and their own attributes. And you do that, and the levels are kind of puzzles in a way. Like they're quite open, they're not linear. So you kind of have to figure out what you need to do. You've got objectives, and you've got to figure out how you complete them, and you've got to use particular animals to get to particular steps through the level. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
How'd you get on with it?
I thought it was good. I wouldn't go as far as I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good.
I thought it was quite clever.
Yeah, it's quite clever.
I like the concept. I just like the concept. It's quite tough in places. Like, you can die really quite easily.
Yeah.
If you're the wrong... If you're a mouse and you go up to, like, a bear, you're not going to last very long.
No.
And then you've got to do the whole level again. And these levels can take quite a while to sort of
I think that's the
get
thing.
through.
Yeah.
If you're emulating it, it's another save state heavy one, I'm afraid.
I like the animals.
So they're animals, but they're all robots. So the dog, for example, you get a sort of upgraded version of the dog that can fire sort of homing missiles, can't you, to other animals. And then you've got the mouse, which has a little rocket boost, and you can jump over gaps with that on ramps and things. And there's quite a lot in here. There's 31 levels spread across 4 different worlds. There's like a grassy area, an ice world, a jungle world, and a desert world. Only got to within the icy world.
I only got to the
much
ice.
further than that. Yeah, but it looks like there's a lot more there, and they've all got their own animals. So I would have liked to get further to try out some of the other ones. Yeah, it's weird that we've got less to talk about the N64 game than the 2 C64 games.
Do you know what? I kind of thought that I thought this would be the game we would ironically have the hardest time talking about compared to the others.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think so, because I got a lot more notes about this than that. But I've kind of summed up most of them just in what I've just said. So...
Yeah, because I thought playing them both. I thought we would certainly have a lot to say about the technical aspects of the other 2 games, and the difference in game design for classic games to modern games and things like that. And I thought we would get a bit of discussion about that. And then when I thought this one, you swap to different animals. It's got a sort of funny, tongue-in-cheek kind of humour to it.
I don't know. I thought we might get a bit more out of it, but I'm struggling to think what else that we haven't already talked. So, I mean, sometimes we do a game and it keeps kind of flowing naturally, and we just keep saying, "Oh, about this, about this." And other times, I sort of describe it, and then you say, "Yeah, it's good," and then we're like,
I mean. I wasn't particularly struck by the music in it.
Oh, I like the music. I thought it was really nice.
It wasn't bad. I
It
didn't
was
think
good.
it's
It was
anything.
quite catchy. It was nice. It was sort of like elevator music, but it's quite good. I liked it. There's an aspect to it that I didn't realize until I saw a YouTube video about it. But they've got speakers everywhere in the level. Do you notice those? They've got these speakers. That is supposed to be playing the music in the game. There's a word for it, like something like diegetic.
Diegetic.
Yes,
Yeah.
like the music you hear is supposed to be in the game. Because if you go further away from the speakers, it quietens down, and you can destroy them, and it would stop the music.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Which is a really nice touch.
Yeah.
I really like that.
The music's not bad, but I don't think it's not. It doesn't pass the test in that it's something I would listen to outside of the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably not. No, I listen to a lot of game music, but and sometimes I add stuff that we play on the podcast. But I don't know if I would do this. No, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it went with the action.
It
It went
yeah,
with the
it
sense
went
of
with-
humour.
Yeah.
It was very appropriate for the game that it is, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite liked the sort of the inventiveness of it. Like sometimes you can solve problems in different ways. I found there was a level where there's a bear in this sort of sunken area, and you need to get through that area. I think you need to be the bear as well. But you're only a little mouse or something. You couldn't. There wasn't much damage I could do to it. But there's a dog outside. So, no, I wanted the dog. So I lured the bear out, and I let the bear beat up the dog to kill it for me. Because you can only possess animals that are dead. You can't possess animals that are living. That's kind of a key point of the gameplay. So you can't just jump in. So if you want to get an animal, you either have to kill it or you have to try and get it to die somehow. And I thought that was, the fact that the game can do that. You can get the animals to fight each other and get their body that way. I thought was quite good.
Yeah, it's very freeform in that.
It is, yeah. I mean, it was kind of developed for the background because I read a couple of articles on it. It was developed at the same time as the original GTA and Body Harvest, and those games were under a lot more pressure to got out. Whereas this game started development in late '95, I think, and it came out in '98. So they had quite a long time to experiment, and they were putting all these animals in and playing around with their attributes and things like that. And because some animals are resistant to water and others aren't. Some of them move a lot quicker. They've all got all these different attributes which you see when you first possess one.
You get like a nice little profile type screen, showing you all his.
Which is quite good, yeah. And I just thought you could see that element of creativity that they've had. That you could tell that it's had time to brew and to come up with all these different animals and all these different puzzles around them. I just really liked it. Yeah, it was good. I liked the even the mission briefings were quite funny because they're given to you by Dan, and some of them I looked up some of them in like a game FAQs. They're just quite amusing. One of them, I've got a few here. So this is a level briefing. This is what your mission objective is. Sob, sniff. I just picked up a distress signal from cute ickle bunnykins terrorised by evil huskies. Kill the husky scum, Evo. Kill them for the bunnies and for me. Look, Evo, animals living in perfect harmony. Disgusting. Put a stop to that right now. Why is there an elephant up that tree? Get it down before it breaks something. And that's just it. And you've got a couple of objectives of things you actually have to do, like trigger some sort of machine, and then sometimes they just that sheep on a spring looks interesting. Get me one of those, and that's just a mission. Just have to possess it.
I like the sheep on a spring because when you possess the things, it gives you the names of them. That one's just called Springy Thingy.
Yeah, lovely. The humour is throughout this game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a bit more than you did, by the sound of it.
Yeah, I did not like it, but I think because I dabbled with it like a couple of times before. I'm sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you've heard of, and you just give it a little go, just see what it's about, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's got such a good reputation, and looking at like the Metacritic scores and the review scores and stuff, it's all like 9s and 10s across the board. So I was expecting it to be like amazing.
Oh, you had the expectations that I had about the game over screen in Monty Mole.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's just
overhyped.
it's good. It's good. But I feel like I'm missing something with it, and maybe that's a really good way of like comparing it. Maybe if I'd have played it at the time, I would, I'd have a much better appreciation for it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a hidden gem at the time because it came out. I think the release date was pushed back a bit, and it ended up releasing at the same time as Ocarina of Time. So obviously, it didn't get much marketing and much attention.
Yeah.
So it kind of went under the radar a bit, and people that did pick it up, I think quite enjoyed it.
And N64 games weren't cheap compared to PlayStation, so
no, they're a bit pricier. So
a bit pricey.
There is an unfortunate issue where it's the only game in the entire library that requires that you don't have the expansion pack installed.
Yeah.
It will crash if you have the expansion. Most versions of it will crash if you have the expansion pack installed.
I was going to say, I think they did release there's like a patched version or like a later print.
I think there's a revision around somewhere.
Fixed,
yeah,
yeah.
But I think most of them have that issue.
Yeah.
So watch out for that if you're going to get it in physical. Just take that expansion pack out there. I never got an expansion pack on my N64 because by the time that was out and games were using it, I was already onto the Dreamcast, so I'd moved on a bit. Yeah, I think that's kind of about it, really. This game.
Yeah,
I think it's all right.
I think it's all right. Yeah, it's a good game. I would recommend playing it.
Favourite animals that you've encountered?
I like the fox.
Yeah, so the racing fox.
The racing fox. But I like just the design of it. I just think because they obviously with the N64 they're quite simplistic little designs of the animals, aren't they? They're quite stylized. They're not like realistic animals.
They were interesting. They were going for a Wallace and Gromit style look, like a plasticine kind of look.
That's a very good way of putting it.
When you combine that with the sort of blurriness of the N64 applies to all of its games, it kind of gets that look across, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I just like the fox. I just find something charming and comical about it. The way it shoots across,
it's very quick, isn't it? Like dashing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's and the aforementioned springy thingy as well.
Springy thingy, yeah. I found the sheep quite useful because he floats across. There were quite a lot of times where I was an animal and I realised, I can't do that because I can't jump. Or I got to float across there, so I need to go and find a sheep. Then you can go and be the sheep and you go and trigger something, but I can't do this other thing because I need to be another animal. So you need to get that animal, but the sheep can't really do it. So you got to figure out how to get that animal, how to get another animal to kill it, or be another animal to try and kill it. So there was lots of that in the levels, and I enjoyed working it out as like it's a platformer, but it's really a puzzle platform.
It's a puzzler.
Every world, like as I said, it's an open area. So you part of it is exploring, having a look round, try and figure out what's what and where everything is. And I like that sort of just sort of unraveling it in that sense, and starting off and being a bit overwhelmed and think, oh Christ, what am I doing here? And then by the end you just figure it out. It was quite good at that, I thought.
I was going to say it's just I would have liked to see the same concept done in a modern way, but then like you said earlier, which I hadn't thought of, it is Cappy, really, isn't it?
Kind of is Cappy, but Mario Odyssey is different because that's kind of a small part of that game, isn't it? In a way,
yeah.
Like a lot of it is that sort of collectathon thing where you're in a big open area, and it's not always about possessing things. Like most of those moons, you don't have to possess anything to get them, I don't think.
True, yeah.
So I know what you mean, but this is because it's a real focus on making sure you possess these animals in a particular order and doing things, and you don't really get that with Mario Odyssey.
No, that's true.
It's a similar gimmick, but used in a different way. Yeah,
it's a good gimmick though. I would like to see. It would be.
I'd love to see a more
game sort of explore that.
Yeah, me too. That's what I got written in my notes. I'd love to see a more up to date version of this. Would be great. Yeah. So yeah, that's our 64 games.
Oh, 3 good ones.
3 good ones. Yeah, I enjoyed these. I enjoyed all of these. Next month, I alluded earlier, it's going to be a Sega game. We are jumping back to the Sega Saturn. We are going for Nights into Dreams. Yeah, I've wanted to do this because next episode will be our last one of the year, which is our end of year Christmassy one where we do the bottom up awards. I always thought if I'm going to pick this, it's got to be in that episode because then we can talk about Christmas nights as well.
Christmas nights, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very unique game, really, isn't it? Both visually and gameplay wise. There's not really anything else quite like Nights, is there?
No.
It's kind of like It's not even a platformer, is it? Because you don't jump on it. Well, you kind of do if you fail, but the core gameplay is like a 2D flying game, really, isn't it? And the score attack plays heavily into it. So yeah, I've played it a lot. Have you played it much?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and the Wii sequel as well.
The Wii sequel as well, yeah. So yeah, we're going to talk about that next month. Nights in
That's
Dreams.
a good excuse to play the theme tune with the horribly out of tune singing as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah, there are various versions of that, and some of them are just like they've got the kids singing. These kids who cannot sing. Oh man, I'll play a bit of it on next episode. It needs to be heard. Yeah,
it's something special.
Yes, so I will reiterate that if you don't have this on Steam, buy it now. It's a good game in its own right, but if you want to play along with us, you'll need to do that or have the Saturn version. I don't think it's much. And it's good. It's a good port. You can get a 60 frames per second mod for it, which plays very nicely. Yeah, go and do that. So if you want to talk to us, we are on Twitter at PodemUp. We are also now on Blue Sky, by the way, like everyone else has jumped to. Thought we might as well see what's going on over there. I think we're at PodemUp on there as well. You'll be able to find us. And if you want to email us, it's mail@podemup.live, and our website is podemup.live. Newly renewed domain and all.
Yeah.
Oh, anything else you want to talk about? Any tangents you want to go on? Anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Not this month.
I've got one. The other morning, I woke up early, because I often wake up early, and I came down before anyone else gets up. I'll have some breakfast. I'll put the telly on, see what's on, because sometimes, in the old days, you have like a random kids cartoon on, you know. So I found one, and no joke, this was a real thing. It was Scooby-Doo crossover. This is made in 2016. It's sort of, I think it's like a made-for-TV movie. A Scooby-Doo crossover with WWE.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say.
Have you seen this?
No, I've seen it at like Scooby-Doo at WrestleMania or something. I've seen like the DVD cover. I've never watched the actual thing.
I only caught the end. It was on ITV2, just in the morning on a Sunday, I think. And it was it's like a race, like a sort of wacky racers style thing, and like the wrestlers were in these cars, and there was a bad guy, and they took the mask off, and it turned out to be Triple H in the end. But it had, and the Undertaker's in it, and I looked at the end. It's all their voices. They all lend their voices to it. Even Vince McMahon is in there with his voice, and Stephanie.
My plan would have worked too, if it weren't for you meddling kids and your speedster dog.
Don't forget Tiger. Thank you, Scooby-Doo.
I love Vince McMahon. What I heard of it, it sounded like he couldn't wait to get out of the recording studio. It was like, and then you can tell it's just right after that. It's like bye, and just like the mic hanging on. It just really tickled me. So yeah, that was something I saw that looked interesting.
Wasn't the Undertaker in like that Penguin film as well?
Penguin film? No, you have to enlighten me. I don't know what this is.
There's a film with
not Madagascar. Is that Madagascar? Or?
I'm looking for it now. Surf's Up 2.
Is he in that? Is he?
Yeah, as like an Undertaker, like penguin.
Brilliant.
Like with his hat and everything.
Okay.
And there's like a few other wrestlers in it.
Okay. What, just randomly in this Penguin film? That's quite strange, isn't it?
Surf's Up 2, starring your favourite WWE superstars.
Oh, right.
Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania.
So they've made a point about the fact that it's...
Yeah.
How random. Why are they like crossing over these really random things that don't have anything to do with wrestling?
Nothing to do with wrestling. Oh. I'm just looking at this now. Oh, this is ridiculous. Vince McMahon I think he's supposed to be a seal. Oh, this is mental.
From Sony Pictures Animation and WWE Studios, JC, Undertaker, Hunter, Page, and Mr. McMahon are putting Cody and his friends to the ultimate test.
This is a map to the most legendary surfing spot on the planet. It's a surfer's graveyard.
To ride the most dangerous waves on Earth.
You gotta do more than surf it, you gotta survive it.
Cody Maverick, hungry for a new challenge, convinces an infamous big wave riding crew known as the Hang Five, voiced by WWE superstars John Cena, Undertaker, Triple H, Paige, and Mr. McMahon, to let him join them on their journey to a mysterious surf spot known as the Trenches, where legend has it they'll find the biggest waves in the world. Cody soon discovers that the life he left behind might be more heroic than what any death-defying wave has to offer.
They're doing some weird stuff over it there.
They really are, aren't they?
It's very strange.
Yeah.
I guess they see themselves as kind of a kids brand, a bit, like they were before the Attitude Era, and they're just teaming up with these other kids brands, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, I watched. This is a few years ago now. A cracking little horror film called Oculus, about a haunted mirror.
Yeah.
It sounds daft, but it's got some decent spooks in it. It's
Oh, that would terrify me. I hate looking in the mirror because I feel like someone's going to come up behind me in it.
Oh, you would love it.
Like
Then there's a haunted mirror. It's some.
No, that would freak me the hell out. That would.
A good old spooky time. But at the beginning, the bloody WWE logo came up. I was like, what?
They've done that before, haven't they? They had back in the day. They had Kane in like a horror movie, didn't they? They was it See No Evil, where he's like a guy pulling people's eyes out. So they do dabble in film quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's just it was just like a double take. Like, hang on, what? Because it's got nothing to do with WWE. They haven't like shoehorned in like John Cena is actually the spirit of the mirror or something like that, or
didn't have any WWE people in it. It's just
not that I can recall, none at all.
Wow.
And there's no links back to WWE. They just funded this great little random horror film. Strange.
Very strange. Well, fingers in a lot of pies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Catch us next time for a bit of Nights, and the Bottom Up Awards is next time as well. In the meantime, you can listen to the full, unedited version of the Monty Mole theme. Here we go. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Scooby-Doo.